And then, good evening. Welcome to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko here with Winnie Wins and Nakauchi on sign language, coming to you live from Plot 42, Nile Avenue. Let's have it from our daily report tonight. We kickstart it off with merging parastatals, as the national debt of Uganda has reached 79 trillion shillings, leaving each Ugandans with a debt of nearly 1.8 million shillings, leaving the government stranded with no answers. President Museveni discussed merging parastatals as a measure to reduce government spending while speaking with the ministers. Now, the economic experts have presented a variety of arguments for why this could have been implemented years ago. Let's have more of this report.
Prior to the president's statement to the ministers in August of this year, the merging of parastatals had been planned for years, but had not yet been put in action. With the help of economic specialists, Smart24 TV looked into the effect of merging parastatals, and a number of factors were highlighted.
So for government, it's about the agencies that are doing almost the same type of work, that is duplication. But they can, if they were consolidated into one, they can even do it better, at a lesser cost, more effective, and also on time and on budget. And we have been giving examples. One is the Public Service Commission, for example. Their job is to recruit public servants. Yeah. The Health Service Commission, their job is to recruit health workers. But health workers are also public servants. The Education Service Commission is to recruit teachers. Teachers are also public servants. So if you bring all of them under one roof, it means that you are saving on time in terms of people accessing the service, because the service is going to be under one roof. You are saving on expenditure because you have only one board.
Yes, I think restructuring government is long overdue. And government strategy should not be only about eliminating certain agencies. It should be a holistic approach aimed at eliminating duplication of roles, because you realize that even if you keep a ministry, but where roles have been duplicated, I mean, you have possibly 5 officers doing more or less the same thing. In my view, that still becomes a leakage. You still have to pay money for work that is not done, or for work that otherwise would be done by one person, but we are paying 5 people to do it. So it's a good move, it's a good thing. It will help cut down on the cost of administration.
CEO of CSBAG, Julius Mukunda, defended the decision to merge parastatals by arguing that the government can reduce the national debt, which has reached trillion-dollar levels.
At the saving, we can pay our debt, which is now in 93 trillion. This financial year, we are likely to get around 12 trillion in terms of domestic borrowing, 7 trillion in terms of external borrowing. 1 trillion is huge. We are going to pay 6 trillion in interest payments. So really, it's huge to reduce on the burden of the debt that we're having in this country. Mm-hmm. So that's really one of the things that I think rationalization will help.
Experts advised the government to continue with the strategy, saying that it will help to improve Uganda's economic situation.
You want to look at countries that have not done so and are very far, because no country should do a mistake and then collect it again. We made a mistake, but we know there are countries that are running smaller, leaner, effective governments. Why don't we follow those ones? Just even within the region, we have the highest number of members of parliament. Why don't we reduce on that one? The highest number of districts. Kenya have counties. But just imagine how many districts we have in this country. You go to, compare ourselves with, go to India, they have 1.3 billion people. But come to Uganda, with 44 million people, our parliament, the numbers are more than those of the Indians.
You know, we need to reduce cabinet. You have more than 81 ministers. You need to reduce the officers of RDCs. You need to downsize several institutions. and make sure that you put money in agriculture, put money in education, put money in infrastructure, put money in roads and so forth. The appeal is that the people of this country must push government to invest in industrialization and job creation.
With the ongoing misuse of the public funds, the civil society organizations believe that the government, to limit some of its expenses, it should go on with merging of its parastatals. For example, UNEB should take on all examination boards like UAHEB, UBTEB, among others. Desire Nambiru, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
And now we talk financial reporting. The financial reports or statements provide information on a company's annual revenue, which allows financial planners to spot trends in sales data over time. Because of this, stakeholders formed the 2022 Financial Reporting Awards, which aims to improve the quality of business reporting. Pedison Mumbere with more.
The award goes 10. You're also free to send them online, and you use www.icpau.co.ug/FIRE-awards.
The Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, in partnership with Capital Market Authority and Uganda Securities Exchange, have yet organized another financial reporting award in Uganda. But what is the benefits of this award? It helps most of the government entities and private entities to learn how to write the best financial reports that can be fronted before the financial funders and get loans. Stakeholders are saying that since 2007, they have been organizing this award and they have recorded a significant impact on how companies are writing their financial reports.
Typically done on a quarterly or annual basis, financial reporting is the process of recording and conveying financial activities and performance across certain time periods. Financial reports are used by businesses to compile accounting data and provide information on their current financial situation.
The language used to break down those terminologies and how they have been displayed or disclosed, and you compare with the global banks like Bank of America and HSBC, you say, wow, is this a report from Uganda? To us, that is the impact we are talking about, that our Ugandan entities can no longer be described as local entities. These are global players. And as a result of that, we have seen a lot of foreign investment coming into a country because they have confidence in the financial reporting in the country. And we have seen ICPAU increase membership to over 3,000 members now registered.
Kampala will host the awards ceremony on September 30th, 2022 to encourage the corporate community to adhere to the financial reporting standards.
To see, for example, those in industry and business, those in the public sector, the NGOs and many other players in the economy of Uganda comply with these financial reporting standards as adopted by the Institute. But there was a very heated debate. And the debate was, how should we check this compliance? Should we go the stick way and probably follow up these entities and check how do they do their reporting?
According to reports, the overall goal of the Financial Reporting Awards is to improve the quality of financial and business reporting in Uganda to encourage the implementation of best practices.
You do proper and effective financial reporting, you become attractive to funders, and you can easily mobilize financial support. Of course, also one of the standards that are being used are those international financial reporting standards for small and medium entities. Not many companies in our countries are making use of this standard.
Raising capital, and remember, when you present these reports, we can get banks like DFCU, we can get companies in the pharmaceutical sector like CSBAG, we can can get those in manufacturing that become much more decent and presentable to investors.
One downside of using financial accounts for decision-making is that facts and figures are based on the current market conditions. Executives should will stay at the same or increase because the market is unpredictable and can change suddenly. Edson Mumbere, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at population census and its implication of planning ahead of it. National Population and Housing Census, which will be conducted by the National Planning Authority and the Uganda National Bureau of Statistics and other government agencies, is scheduled to take place on August 24th and 25th in the year 2023. Planning for the National Population Census is one of the National Planning Authority's primary responsibilities as it prepares comprehensive and integrated development plans for the nation. This report was covered by Martha Nimsema. Let's have more of this.
Uganda last carried out population census in 2014. The government of Uganda has announced the next population census to be carried out in August 2023. As of now, the population of Uganda is approximately 48 million people, which is equivalent to 0.59% of the world's population. But how does the population census help in planning of the country? In order to gather accurate statistics for use in planning and budgeting for the country over the next 10 years, Chris Bariomunsi, Minister of ICT and National Guidance, stated that a national census will be conducted next year. The enumerators will gather data for the entire house from the family head on one night of the national census.
Announcing that there will be a national housing and population census next year. As you know, we carry out censuses every 10 years to establish the number of the people in a country and the households, as well as a number of parameters and indicators that we use to measure the progress we are registering, but also we get statistics which are important for planning and budgeting.
Census data is used to determine the population size so that the government may plan for its citizens. National development plans developed by the National Planning Authority contribute in this planning. The NDPs give the government the ability to improve the foundations and possibilities for the people.
Since the last census, there have been plans that have been put in place. We had the first National Development Plan, that was NDP1, which started from 2010 to actually 2014. Okay? Then we had the NDP2, which started from 2015 to 2020. Okay? Now currently we have embarked on NDP3, the book that I've shared with you. It starts from 2020, 2021 to 2025. To simply put, 2021 to 2025. Okay? Now in these we have been putting where we need to go. As a country, the biggest indicator is you want the citizens to be well off. And the biggest measure at macro level is you get the size of the economy and divide it by the number of people. And what we have been saying here is that we have been progressing. In 2017, our GDP per capita was around 864. So we are hoping that by 2025, this GDP per capita should have grown to 1,198. So it's this progress that we need to be gauging. Now, for you to be able to achieve that GDP per capita, first you must grow the economy, and we have proposals that must be done to grow the economy. After the last population census, NDP2 came out, and this NDP2 prioritized the three sectors. These are agriculture, tourism, and mining, minerals. Okay. Now, for you to achieve this, we call these opportunities. It had opportunities, then it had what referred to as fundamentals.
The government can boost infrastructure, job creation, agriculture, oil and gas production, tourist industrialization, and assistance for the private sector with the help of the national development plans. Mathani Msima, Smart24 TV Business.
All right, now let's look at digitalization in business. Limited internet access is upsetting digital startups and innovation if you're to look at some of the challenges coming in from that space. Now, business operations are changing to accommodate the fourth industrial revolution. Due to limited internet connectivity and related issues, it is quite important for startups and innovations to consider how best to leverage the traditional market and the limited digital marketplaces. Ivan Tibankena has the details.
Only 6% of country households out of Uganda's 48+ million residents have internet connectivity, with 8% rural residents and 13% city dwellers. This is a gap given the increasing dominance of internet-based startups and innovations.
Created a platform that puts together truck drivers, that puts together businesses, that puts together shippers, that puts together clearing and forwarders. So all these people can interact on one platform for the sole purpose of doing two things. So for businesses, what is very important for them? They want to save on time and they want to save on money. The more money they have, the more they can grow, the more they can employ, the more they can be profitable.
Unique characteristics in service delivery should give a comparative advantage that traditional market companies hardly possess as innovations attempt to break down market barriers.
Taking what has been happening for so many years traditionally off-grid and putting it on the internet and creating that transparency, creating that ease of communication for everyone in the space, we're able to bring down the costs of transport. We're able to make sure that there is easy flow of information for everyone.
About this app and data usage, data can take me a day across all networks. It's about the cost of 2,000 shillings. That's about 300 megabytes. That's enough. If I haven't been so busy, it would cost about 1,000 Uganda shillings. That's about 180 megabytes. But with 300 megabytes, it would take me right into the night. Distanced from its East African neighbors, Uganda currently ranks 20th among cost-friendly countries when it comes to data purchases. Yet another comparison can be made to the war-torn Libya, a nation such as Somalia and Eswatini. According to Chris Baryomunsi, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, design projects for the national backbone infrastructure are in high gear to connect the nation to the network grid.
The national backbone infrastructure to the rest of the country, because we have been laying the national cable. The cable, we are now in about 62, we have covered about 62% of the country. But we are now coming with another phase where we are going to lay that national backbone infrastructure cable to the rest of the country. And also we do what we call last mile connections.
The cost of internet, like many other services that depend on demand, is based on subscription. This perhaps explains the disparity in the cost to value for many Ugandans that rely on it. Data costs should be reduced because, for instance, I buy two things, data and airtime. So if possible, a fall in its cost would be ideal, so that we are not affected while using the app.
So when we do this extension of the fiber and do last mile connection, then we are going to get many more subscribers hooked. Because also what determines the cost of internet is when you have few subscribers, then the cost is high. But if you get many more hooked, then the cost also comes down. So we expect that once we have laid the cable to the rest of the country, we get more institutions, more people now on the internet, then the cost also will substantially come down. So,
however, by reconsidering its tax pledges on internet consumption, the government is coming up with ways to increase internet access.
Also, we are examining the taxation environment to see that we remove or minimize taxes on data and related services so that we create a very conducive environment in as far as data and communication is concerned.
It would be a very good thing for us because that's you have very little costs of conversion of customers. Businesses are on the internet, the drivers are on the internet, so it's easy to collect data, one. Two, it becomes a less cost for us. We don't have to pay for too much internet. You don't have to invest a lot. You already have customers that are ready, so your cost of customer acquisition greatly reduces. So I think it will be a very big boost for us as a business. Could, make us double what we already are doing.
Private investment is vital for gross national development, and the success of digital innovations and startups will be mainly determined by how holistic community internet usage grows while resolving the major impediments. Ivan Tibenkana, Smart24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at wildlife tracking. Meanwhile, wildlife trafficking rather. Now, the East African footballers from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania are joining a new initiative to stop wildlife crime and the illegal trafficking of wildlife and wildlife products through area ports and cargo terminals. Workers in the shipping sector are cooperating with the team by keeping an eye out of the animal items hidden and smuggled in container shipments. Now, the governments of Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda have set up telephone hotlines for citizens to report wildlife crime. Let's have more of this report.
Before the pandemic, Uganda's amazing wildlife helped to draw 1.5 million tourists to the country. International and domestic tourists spent 6 trillion shillings that amounted to 80% of the country's GDP. However, our countrymen's jobs and the wildlife are under an increasing threat that is driven by the increasing surge of the illegal hunting of wildlife. 4.6 tons of ivory, that is amounted to 700 elephants, were intercepted at Uganda's dry ports. The East African Footballers Association today have lended their voice to end wildlife crime. We have more.
Criminals are still making huge amounts of money for themselves, but in the process, they are stealing.
Uganda Wildlife proceeded to estimate the market value of various wildlife items.
Of ivory, like around $50,000 US. So meaning that if you carry one ivory like this, okay, which is 50 kilograms, you can multiply by 50,000 US, then you get how much money that is.
2022, we handed over all wildlife-related products that were in our custody at our customs warehouse in Nakawa. And this included about 6.6 tons of ivory. Now, 6.6 tons of ivory is 6,600 kilograms. You can imagine how many elephants lost their lives. We also handed over 11 kilograms of hippopotamus teeth, 3 skins of pythons, 20 kilograms of buffalo horns, and other assorted products. A number of leopard skins, pangolin scales. We actually handed over about 766 kilograms of pangolin scales. A pangolin weighs about 1.5 kilograms. Now, when we talk about 766 kilograms of the scales alone, you can imagine how many pangolins have been killed in order to harvest their scales. So those are part of the items we have intercepted as URA.
The United States Ambassador to Uganda emphasizes on the consequences of poaching on wildlife.
I've also seen the harm that poachers can inflict. Last year, I was with Director Mukunda at Murchison Falls National Park, where I saw an elephant struggling to feed itself and struggling to drink because it lost more than half of its trunk to a poacher's snare. So while Uganda's tourism industry relies heavily on wildlife and natural resources, the sector faces enormous challenges.
According to the Minister of State for Tourism, the penalty for breaching of the legislation will be severe.
Poaching, getting involved in wildlife crime, but also this illicit trading of wildlife, illegal trading of wildlife. The penalty is really stringent. That's what I'm saying. The maximum penalty is actually a life sentence, but also paying a fine of even up to 20 billion shillings. So it is really deterrent. And there are so many people that have been affected and they felt. But of course, I also want to thank the communities for supporting conservation, really. They give us the intelligence, they help us in giving us the information.
Rona Nahabwe, Business Today, Smart24 TV.
All right, Business Today will continue immediately after the break. Stick around with us.